Hey, Dimitri. Hey, so take a look at the buildings, and I put up some in the enemy room test. I'm kind of thinking of the buildings. The buildings, while they're environment, they're also enemies. So let me go over a few things with you. First, I already posted this, I think, in the Trello card. So one is your new buildings are baby size. Here it is. Here's a tiny little baby. As we went to move it into final dimensions, I think that might be fine if you want to in Engine have scaled up versions. So this version of the building is 200% in Engine scaled. I'm not as worried about scaling here because we're not attaching weapon locators and other things to the buildings. I mean, they're mainly set dressing to then essentially have enemies, right? Like in this case, you can see kind of what I'm working on. But anyways, I'll show you that in a second. I'll show you the goodies in a second. So here's the new size. Here is the 200% upscale. We have some seams here. I think it's probably just a scaling or like a, it looks like it's like an anti-alias maybe or something like that. You can see it in the seam of the texture. So right here. But they do snap together correctly in the right size. I can see why I think you removed the decaling from the previous version, and it's a little less bright, which is good, right? So here we go. Yeah, so I saw that you removed these guys here. And maybe we lost that too, actually. Now I'm looking at that. Is that, no, it's there. Okay, cool. It's just not as bright. So I know we're trying to get more distance there. So and then what else? Oh, and then here's our other building, right? That's the like the helipad building. So okay. So let me just show you the goodies. So here's kind of what I'm thinking. I think this might be kind of cool. Check this out. Oh, holy shit. It's shooting at me. It's shooting at me. They're going to be way too strong. But I have this idea that the buildings, the buildings can be like defense batteries too, where they rise up and then they essentially are, you know, they have enemies on top of them like this, right? Or maybe we can attach our bigger wormhole to some of the tops of these things, so then they appear and then they're like shooting, you know, or they're teleporting enemies in. And then I think the other piece of this too is, you can kind of see this setup here I have with this. So again, this is the enemy room. So here's where I have the other enemy bits as we kind of just keep going. we're getting places. But here we need to come back to thinking about, okay, there's some questions I think we have to ask ourselves about. What's the function of the building? Are these buildings in which people live in? Probably, right? Are they military towers? You know, I know there's this idea of scale. We kind of have these little dots to sort of signify maybe the lights. You know, do we want to have that level of kind of fidelity where we're kind of mapping out like, hey, there are people inside of these things and they're operating. So I think that's something to think about there for us too. And then the other big one is, you know, here's our previous version of just sort of like, you know, bolt on like a weapon turrets, right? We'll probably do another one that's similar to the materializer. We're working on that kind of like quad gun thing. That might be something cool there. Should we take some of this technology concept here with these kind of materializers, maybe bolt them onto the buildings? At the very least, when we destroy these things, they should then have a destroyed state that feels like we've got impact decals or destruction decals on the buildings. I think even in both cases, I think that the buildings, those are either the smaller ones, right? So I haven't done the 200%. Let me see if I can actually do this. 1 second. There we go. Do one of those, and then all hell's gonna break loose. 1 second. Oh yeah, the engine's like, nope. Does not compute. Okay, yeah, not a huge problem. So, but I could probably do this maybe as a starting point. We have probably too many attached objects. Whoa. Come on. I know how to do stuff. Yeah, okay. So what that basically means is I did not do a 200% scale version. I probably should have. But that is, oh wait, I already have a 200 scale version. What am I doing? This one here. All right, cool. Yeah, so I haven't really thought about that too much here either. So, you know, and maybe like I definitely don't want to scale enemies. So I think here when I'm looking at, you know, how the armaments definitely kind of start to fit on the sides of the building, I think that actually kind of works at 200%. So I'll wait to hear back from you on that. I think art-wise, fidelity-wise, I think given our slide, I don't really see too many like artifacts. I don't think we would make buildings any bigger than this. And the reason why we did the segmentation, obviously, is so we could have this concept of the buildings that kind of thrust up from the surface. So we also could have, you know, and part of this too might be the typical thing where these are actually further in the distance because they're smaller, right? Because Burrs are bigger, so they won't be completely on the same visual plane. So I'll play around with that. But I wanted to kind of juice your thinking a bit here, right? So because we've learned a lot since we started the level and we're coming back to it. So I think those are the big things that we need to sort of like wrap our heads around: the function of the buildings, how they behave, how they're gonna be cool. This is how I could see, like, not all of them are gonna come up, but I think some can be placed there, some can rise from the city. And I don't think it's the last place we use stuff like this too. So I think that's the gist of it. So I think visually speaking as well. Let's turn off this audio. You know, I think, and then we'll have the typical things where like, or we're kind of putting them in the distance. We need to figure out what the environment looks like against that. But I think I'm feeling pretty good about that. But I think I'm really enjoying the idea that these buildings rise up and then they have these, you know, like this is just for exaggeration purpose, right? Although it could be a legitimate enemy. So and all this stuff needs to be tuned more. But yeah, so food for thought on how we're doing our designs. And yeah, so I think that's it. And I'll talk to you soon.